I've had a lot of people come up to me and just tell me how proud they are of him, and how much he has helped them. It's been good for them. A couple people he arrested, and they had really nice things to say about him. So, but it's nothing that's not.
That's the best
surprising.
compliment, isn't it? Somebody that you arrest gives you a compliment. That's
Yes, sir.
That's you don't get much better than that in this job.
Yes,
you know.
So when they gave you, did you know about these compliments or anything like when the time you arrested him, or did they tell Miss Paula about that later?
Yeah, they had to tell her because I didn't hear about them.
We're going to take off here, okay? All right, we're back again on Chief, Cap, and Chap, and we got some guests today. This is the part I was looking forward to, is actually getting people in, besides talking to you all the time.
Well, we're missing a Chap.
We are missing a Chap, yeah. We kicked him out this time because we didn't have but 4 microphones. So no, Jason's busy, so he's out today. Today we're going to do a special episode. This is for Mother's Day this year, and we thought it would be great to have Miss Paula, one of our seasoned detectives, and her son, who also works for us, is Faison Fobbs. So we're just going to get into this right now.
Well, that was actually my idea.
It was your idea.
You're trying to steal my thunder.
Yeah, I liked it. That's what I do, man. If I don't come up with good ideas, but I know one when I hear it, you know. Well, let's just get started. Let's jump into it. Paula, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Paula Nichols, mother of Faison Fobbs. I have been employed here, Sikeston DPS, for right at 16 years now. And
16 years.
16 years, and I've loved every bit of it.
I have to just say really quick, Paula and Faison are the two of the most humble people I've ever met in my life. So this is an extremely probably awkward situation for them because they're not the kind of folks that want to really talk about themselves or talk about their accomplishments. But both of these people are just class act people that have just brought so much positivity to our community. Faison as a young person, and then Paula as what she's done for this department in the city for the last 16 years. We just can't express our appreciation for that. So there's no reason to be shy or anything like that. We're just having a conversation here. So,
Well, thanks for the nice words.
yes.
Well, Faison, you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Faison Fobbs. I've been here for almost 2 years. I think it'll be 2 years in September, actually. And that's about it.
So you
not
spent,
a whole lot to it.
You're now in fire division.
Yes, sir.
Just recently transferred over there to get your training there. And before that, you were in patrol division. How'd you like that?
I enjoyed patrol division. I always tell people what I like the most is that no day is the same as the day before or the day before that day. It's every day is something new, and that's what I enjoy about doing this job in particular. But yeah, I really enjoy patrol.
Yeah, funny part about that is, Faison, he really enjoys the police aspect, kind of really similar to me, and but understood when he came to work here that he has to get trained in the fire, and he passed through his FTO and in patrol division with flying colors, fantastic job, but there came that day when it's like, okay, you're now going to have to go to fire and get trained up on firefighter 1 and 2 and hazmat and all that. And I brought Faison in the office. I was like, hey, we're going to have to send you to fire division to get trained up. And I mean, he was just disappointed. Like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm positive. I said, you're going to go over there. You're going to get trained. I promise you're going to get back to the streets. So, yeah. So it's very similar, kind of feeling the same way with me too, going to fire division. So, but you'll appreciate it, down the road. You'll be like,
Absolutely.
You get on the streets and it's a grind. I mean, you're working, shift rotations up all night, and you get a little bit older and you start slowing down a little bit, and you're like, man, a little change of pace in fire division might be nice.
Absolutely. And I kind of knock fire division a little bit, but ultimately I do enjoy it. I enjoy learning the fire dynamics, learning how fire works and how to extinguish fires. Like I was telling the chief before you came, it's a lot of free time over there.
Yeah.
And that's
I was really
don't
always
like.
kind of intimidated by just how much stuff you have to know
Yeah.
in fire division, because it's like, it's not just fighting fire. There's just so much
Right.
technical aspect.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating, really, if you think about it.
Well, the thing about fire division, the longer you're over there, the more specialized you become, because you get on HSRT teams, you get, search and rescue, the rescue squad. I mean, so when you first get in there, you're just learning the basics, and so you spend more time, and then it becomes it's more difficult for sure because of all that knowledge that you gotta have.
Paula, do you remember coming to work here? You went to the police academy first, or did we hire you? How did that work whenever you started here?
I was hired first, went to the police academy.
Okay, so then you had the law enforcement background, got your feet underneath you in FGO patrol, and then you got the call that, hey, we're going to send you to fire division. How did you feel about that?
Yes, sir. I was okay with that. And I got over there, fire division, and the more I learned, the better I enjoyed it. I looked forward to my first fire. I was always told the worst fire was the basement fire. My first fire was
wow.
a basement fire.
Yeah. Yeah, just to kind of tell people
You got
about
it out
a
of the way.
basement fire. We all know that, heat rises, right? And so one of the things they teach you in firefighting is you want to stay as close to the floor as you possibly can. Now, keep in mind, I am not an expert firefighter like some of the folks we have here, but there's only one way to get down through that to the basement, and you have to go through the hottest part of the air to it. And then, of course, typically, there's only one way in and out of a basement.
Yes.
There's no windows. So,
Right.
yeah, they're pretty frightening.
Yeah. It was good. I enjoyed it.
So what inspired you to get into law enforcement?
I always just wanted to help people, and I can remember in my hometown just being out, hanging out, but whenever something happened, I was like right there if I could to help. And I just always wanted to do law enforcement.
You always seem to have a really good ability to communicate with people and empathize with them and really help people at that level. I know even before you got in detective division, we utilized you quite a bit for that skill that you have
Yes, sir.
in difficult situations, and you were able to really de-escalate situations for us, and that's really valuable. It's something I've noticed about you. Where'd you get that from?
I'd like to say my mom.
From your mom?
Yes.
Now you got to talk in that microphone, or Josh is going to get on to me. Okay,
Yeah.
can't be whispering in here.
I'm a lot like my mom.
Josh, I got to say something about him. He's been doing our videos for this podcast, and he's done a tremendous job for us. He really has. I've been messing his camera up and stuff. He's coming in and helping me fix that. So Josh is one of our detectives, Josh Golightly, and does a tremendous job. So we really appreciate him, probably more than he knows, because this stuff is really easy to him. It's very difficult to me. So I'm glad he works here. But thank you, Josh.
Yes, thanks, Josh.
Where did you grow? You grow up in Sikeston, or if I remember right, you grew up in Malden, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
so
am
because we
in
got to
Greenway.
talking one time, and of course I grew up in Campbell, so Malden and Campbell, like for me, going to Malden when I was a kid, that was going to town because they had a Walmart, and a
Right.
McDonald's.
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
yes.
That's
so what
about
was it? So what was it like growing up in Malden?
Growing up in Malden was very fun. My parents, of course, were very strict, but I really enjoyed growing up there. I had a lot of friends. I enjoyed it.
So did you, whenever you were, at that age you were living in Malden, was the law enforcement, first responder, police officer thing on your mind then, or when did it come to you?
It was then. We had a couple incidents that happened in Malden. We had a fairly large case that happened in Malden, and it was able to be solved. I believe we had made 3 arrests because I was able to contact the police and identify the suspects of a
okay.
shooting, as a matter of fact.
So how old were you then?
I want to say in my early teens.
Early teens, okay.
Yeah.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 6.
You have 6 kids,
Yes.
okay. So what's your thoughts when Faison comes up and he says, hey, I want to be a police officer?
Great.
You were happy about that?
I was happy about
You weren't
that.
worried about that or concerned?
I was not. The only concern I had with that was the location and when he wanted to start his career. Now that concerned me.
So what he was thinking just about anywhere, not just Sikeston? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, actually at that time he had went to start in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, how old were you then, Faison? You're in Georgia.
I was 24, I believe.
24.
Yep.
I can remember you when you played on the football team. You did pretty good in athletics here at Sikeston.
And yeah, those were the glory days.
The glory days. Yeah.
Well, talking about athletics, I do have a story to say that Faison, every time I see Faison, he gets tired of hearing this story, you know. But the first time I met Faison was out on the track at the high school, and I do have a witness to this, right? You know, him and his brothers are out there at the track getting ready. What were you probably? You guys are what? You probably in the junior high, maybe, or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this story is even true or not.
It's 100% true.
remember.
Macaulay, I forget his
Emory.
Emory Macaulay is my witness. So if you're out there listening, Emory, I may have you call in and verify this, but he was my witness. So I'm out there, you know, jogging, just trying to stay in shape, and you know, him and his brothers are kind of giving me a hard time about how slow I'm running. I said, well, I tell you what, you know, let me get done running here for a little while, and then when I get done, I'll race one of you guys through the 100. And I'm 99% sure it was Faison that thought he could take me, but I ended up beating him in the 100-yard dash.
Yeah,
and
he was
I do
8
have a
years
witness.
old at the time.
It don't matter. A win is a win, okay?
You out there picking on kids.
Yeah, but a win is
Did you
a
take
win.
his money?
So.
Did you take his money?
No, I don't think there was any wagers or anything like that. It was just for pride only. But I think I hurt for about a week after that. But he swears it wasn't him. It was one of his other brothers. But no, it's funny. You know, Faison. You know, of course, I have a special place in my heart for athletics. I love athletics, and then watching Faison in high school. Man, I tell you what, that guy is a hustler. If you followed Sikeston high school basketball, man,
Yes.
that guy just tore the floor up. So what was it? And another big person that I really have a lot of respect for is Coach Hollifield here in town. I talk to Chief all the time. Like, we got to get the guy on the show because, I mean, you talk about
Absolutely.
just a class act
Yes,
coach, just Hall of Fame
absolutely.
coach. So what was it like been playing for Coach Hollifield?
I loved playing for Coach Hollifield. He was, in my opinion, one of the best coaches that we had here in Sikeston. He was very hard nosed. You know, he had what's the word I'm looking for? He had standards, and there was a way that that he wanted basketball to be played here in Sikeston. And if it wasn't that way, then you weren't going to play. And that's one thing I respected about Coach Hollifield.
Absolutely.
You know, I think I look back on, you know, the athletics that I played, you know, growing up and stuff like that. And I really think that really creates a foundation for you as a person later in life. You know, you think about what do you get out of playing high school sports or organized sports. And I think that's really one of the first really good taste of discipline that you get, and just how you conduct yourself and staying within the rules is playing sports and learning. You know, you learn, you have a lot of failures in sports and you have victories in sports, and how you handle those failures and those victories is so important. And it really kind of sets you up, you know, for later in life. And then, you know,
does.
unfortunately, some people don't have those role models in their life, and then that coach can kind of fill that void. But you weren't just a heck of a basketball player. You also a pretty good football player too, weren't you?
Yeah, I guess I was all right.
And track, right? Track too? I know you wasn't no good in the 100. There's no way you could have been in the 100 because I smoked you.
I guess.
Yeah. So in high school, did you think about law enforcement? When did it really hit you?
I guess it did start to hit me as I was going through the law enforcement course that we have over at the high school with
Criminal justice.
criminal justice.
Andy
yeah.
Caton there.
Yes, I enjoyed that class. It was a lot of hands-on. But yeah, it did. I think it started to hit me there, and then I went off to college for a few years and continued to study criminology. And then I took a job out in Atlanta. I stayed out there for a little bit, and then one day I woke up and I was just like, man, I was a sales rep for a transportation company. I was just like, man, I'm just tired of doing this. I'm tired of doing this. And law enforcement was always my end goal. I always wanted to be a police officer. It was just a matter of when I wanted to go and pursue that dream, I guess. And so that day I woke up and I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to start now. So then I called my mom. I told her. I began the whole process in Atlanta, the background checks and all of that crap. And then we had a discussion, and she's just like, oh, well, I don't really know how I feel about you being in Atlanta.
Well, that's understandably so. I mean, not only is it a long ways away, but Atlanta's a pretty big and busy place. So,
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
sure.
I could see there being some fear there, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it was just me getting into law enforcement. I didn't really care where it was. I didn't necessarily see myself coming back to Sikeston to work, but
Well, we're glad you did. I actually
it worked
did.
out.
I did Faison's background when I heard that. Of course, I knew him through high school. You know, I thought, man, we got to get this guy. You know, and so I was like, just trying to help and speed up that process as quick as I could. And it's funny, when I was doing your background, of course, we reach out to all these former employers that he's ever worked for and ask him what kind of worker he is, what kind of guy he is. And about the third person that I called in his background, I said, hey, this is Captain Broom, Sikeston Police Department, and doing a background check on Faison Fobbs. And I said, you're probably going to tell me exactly what everyone else has told me up to this point, but I have to hear it from you. And no joke, no exaggeration, the guy immediately says, what, how great he is? I'm like, yeah. So we're very fortunate to get.
Yeah, that's
Faison
true, because
here.
I remember I was asking Captain Broom about the background. You know, of course, I knew he was your son. I said, how's that going? And I'm like 3 times. He's like, he said we got to hire him today. You know, we need to hire that guy right away. You know, so we tried to expedite that as much as we could.
Yeah, for sure.
That's always
And
good.
we weren't disappointed. You've really, you know. But what I want to know is, since it's Mother's Day episode, right? So when you were growing up and your mom's the police, what is that like? Tell me about that. What did you think about that?
It wasn't as bad as I would have assumed it to be. She wasn't as strict as I expected her to be. But then again, I wasn't a kid that would go out and run around town. You know, there was a handful of places that I would always be if I wasn't home. And she knew those places. But I mean, like I said, it wasn't bad at all.
Did you,
I in fact enjoyed it.
So did you ask her about the job? Were you interested at that time? Were you asking her what she was doing and things like that?
I wasn't really asking her the things that she was doing, but I would pay attention to what she was doing. I went over to the fire station, or Station 2, a lot while she was over there, and went through the maze over there a couple of times, tried on her fire gears. Just typical kid stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing she did do was she did a good job at being able to leave her work at work. She didn't really bring it home with
She
her.
didn't talk shop. Yeah.
Exactly. So
So how old are you now? You're
26.
26. I'm not
getting
going to
old.
ask you. Okay. I'm smarter than that.
Just turned 54.
54.
Yes.
Okay. So at that time, you were like what, when she started 10? Is that right?
Maybe.
Probably somewhere around there.
Okay. So what's that like when you have a son that's you're trying to raise? How do you balance? You kept that, you didn't really talk shop at home very much. I mean,
No, I didn't. For one, we stayed busy.
oh yeah, with 6 kids, I bet so.
Absolutely. We stayed busy. They all were very active in school. And by the grace of God, school work would allow me to attend a lot of their functions, because we still had to have officers volunteer for the different
Right. Sporting events.
Absolutely. So I was able to do that. And the guys here were pretty good too about filling in, swapping shifts with me or such whenever they had to go out of town to certain events. So it was really good.
So you were in patrol, then you transitioned to detective division. And how long have you been in detective division now?
3 years, I think.
3 years.
Oh wow, it seems like a lot longer than that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Not in a bad way, but in a good
Right.
way, because you do a really good job there too.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I was just with so much that we do in detective division. I was just thinking it feels longer than that.
Yeah.
But
So while you're working here and Faison's working the street, when he was working the street, were you trying to keep tabs on him, make sure he's you reading his reports and make sure he's spelling right or anything? Do you go back and say, why are you writing this like this? You can do better.
Did you?
I did not, but I definitely would read the reports when a couple came across my desk. I definitely did, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I was very surprised when I first received one because I didn't think that I would. But yeah, I had several of his reports. I thought they were pretty
Yeah.
good, and I would ask him sometimes about the report of what happened. If I
Yeah.
didn't know.
You ever
about
do any
the
coaching
case.
on him? Like, you need to do this or you could do that?
No. Now, that's something I did not do. I was taught at it here that the FTO did that, and you do not. So, no,
You just try to stay away from that.
I tried to stay away
Never
from that.
offered any pointers or anything like that. Just kind of some little nidbits that make the job a little bit easier sometimes.
To listen to his FTO, and no one else was supposed to, try to guide him. I don't really think I gave him very much, I don't think. I mean, do you think I did?
If any, there was probably extra information that I could throw into a report that would make it a little better than what it was. But I don't think that there was anything that she was just like, hey, you need to be doing this or
Yeah.
anything like that.
So our department's not a huge department. We have, I think our full number is like 86 now since we consolidated. So you guys probably work some calls together, I'm sure.
Yes, we have.
That's got to be weird. I mean, I try to imagine that. And I got 3 daughters. None of them are in law enforcement. But that's got to be kind of neat, I think.
It is really neat. Yeah, it was really neat. We were on one investigation, and I was trying to keep telling myself to be humble because I feel so proud. I felt so proud to see my son walking around, but it's really a good feeling.
So are you getting feedback from the community about how your son's doing?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
What do they say about him?
Yes, I've had a lot of people come up to me and just tell me how proud they are of him, and how much he has helped them. He's been good for them. A couple people he arrested, and they had really nice things to say about him. So, but it's nothing that's not.
That's the best
surprising.
compliment, isn't it? Somebody that you arrest gives you a compliment. That's
Yes, sir.
That's you don't get much better than that in this job.
Yes, sir.
So when they gave you, did you know about these compliments or anything like when the time you arrested him, or did they tell Miss Paula about that later?
Yeah, they had to tell her because I didn't hear about them.
Well, I'm going to tell you, really, you reminded me of something. There's one of the most gratifying, fulfilling things in this job is obviously not the money, but there will be a point in your career, and I'm sure this has happened to Paula, and I know it has happened to Chief, when somebody comes up to you that you don't even remember who they are. You don't recognize them, but they say, in this situation, they may say, you probably don't remember me.
Absolutely.
And they tell you
Yes.
that either, you helped turn their life around or you helped save their life. Man, that is
Absolutely.
so gratifying. I would
Yes.
give up all the money in the world just to know that, you know what, I went out there and I helped one guy or one girl really change their life, put them on the right path.
Absolutely.
Man,
Yes,
that
sir.
means a lot.
Well, and it honestly, that kind of thing happens every day here. I've had you had this where somebody tells you that, and you can't even remember because you deal with so many people. You know, sometimes you can, but sometimes you're like, I really don't remember that call.
Yeah, something in your career that may not be significant to you ever.
Right, absolutely.
It could be just the world to that person.
Yeah.
And you don't even remember it.
You said that a lot better than I did. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, for sure.
So I guess one of my questions, we were talking about this podcast is like, you read about this and you see about this a lot, like say your parent is a celebrity or like say a professional athlete. I like sports a lot. So like your parent, your dad was a great baseball player. And so you're a young baseball player and you're working your way up and you make the big leagues. Is there any pressure on you, Faison, as far as like making your own path and having your own, or do you feel that at all, or is that even an issue for you? Because I've heard that before. Like some people say, I just want to be me. I don't want people to recognize me through my father or through my mother. It's about me.
Yeah, we've seen examples where people will actually go work somewhere else because of that.
So has that ever been an issue for you so far? I know you're still kind of young into this, but like still kind of new. But
maybe when I first started here, it kind of was an issue. Obviously she paved the way for not only myself, but for a lot of the other minorities in the department. She's done an amazing job here. And I was thinking to myself, man, that's a big shoe I'm gonna have to fill. Mm-hmm. But then as the days went on, I just started to find my own path, like you said, and started to learn how to become my own officer, or the officer that I wanted to be.
When did you realize that? Did you come in and you talk to the other officers and find out that maybe mom made a bigger impact at the office than you thought, or you just knew all along?
It was kind of from just hearing all the different stories that a lot of the guys would say around here. But obviously, I knew how important she was to this department and the amount of work that she's done for this place. So I guess it was just a little bit of both.
So now that you're both working here, you're in law enforcement, how has that affected y'all's relationship? Is that, you think that made y'all closer, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say so.
There might have been, prior to me starting here, there might have been times where I probably felt like I couldn't talk to her about something. But now, when she come home and I'm already at the house, we'll sit on the couch and we'll just talk for hours just about the day and what happened, and it's it's a great feeling. It really is. We're truly blessed.
Yes, I agree. And to add to that, neither one of us are big talkers.
Right.
But yes, we probably talk so much more now. And going back to the question before, I remember when I did have the conversation with Faison about not pursuing his dream in Atlanta, he did tell me that if he agreed to come back this way, that he wanted to do it all on his own. He did not want anything given to him.
You weren't having that, were you? Yeah.
I was proud that he would even say that, but me being the person that I was, that's how he was going to have to gain it anyway.
So what's it like? So you grew up here in town.
Yes, sir.
Went to school at Sikeston, R6 out here, Sikeston Public Schools.
Yes, sir.
Played sports, so you know a lot of people here. I went to school at New Madrid, so I had to build relationships when I got here. So you already know people.
Yes, sir.
What's that like? Now that you're the police and you're working here, you're policing some of those people you went to school with.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And I hope at the end of the day that everyone understands that I have a job I have to do. Despite our relationship, our friendship, whatever the case may be, I still have a job I have to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I call these people my people because I know so many people here. It's I don't know. It's crazy, but I enjoy just being able to police here in Sikeston around this community, the community that knows me. I feel like they're helping push me to become a better officer.
So you've had
Yes.
some pretty positive experiences with that.
Absolutely.
Have you had
Absolutely.
some negative?
I hadn't off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there was something at some
Yeah.
point, but just not off the top of my head. I just can't think of one. But this community has been very encouraging for me.
Right.
And like I said, it's just helping me become a better
You know,
officer, person.
I think a lot of that is with anything you do, the energy you bring to that situation often results what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's one thing you got to learn as a police officer. And like I said before, both you guys interact with the community very well. And so I don't think we're getting any complaints on this guy. I don't remember any.
Not a one.
Yeah, so that's probably a lot to it. You know, you bring in a good attitude, you're going to get a good result.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You know, and I think too, just naturally, you treat people respectfully, and you have probably throughout your life because you really had no choice with having Miss Paula as your mother. But I think really, you know, regardless of how you know people, your reputation really kind of supersedes you in the fact that, you know, you treat people, you've always treated people good. And so I think, you know, sometimes if somebody runs across a situation where you have to arrest them or whatever, they're like, well, I mean, if Faison's arrested me, then I probably deserved it. You know what I mean? So I think that's really kind of important. I think you probably laid that foundation long before you really even ever knew it, you know?
I agree.
But I'm very fortunate in the sense, you know, growing up, I've only one time in the time I've been in law enforcement that I ever had to encounter somebody that I knew growing up in a domestic violence situation. So I knew both of them. They happened to just be passing through Sikeston. And I'm going to tell you, that was an extremely awkward situation. Like, I was just like, how do I handle this? Because I'd never had that situation before. So it's can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it can be very uncomfortable, but
I guess
It's
it's part of the
doable.
job.
yes.
Yeah. So what's your you have a favorite memory since you've been an officer?
I don't really have a favorite memory. I'm sorry. There's just been there's a lot on my plate right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going through the fire division and all
Yeah.
of that. So
Right.
but no, I don't really have a favorite memory.
What do you
at the
think?
moment.
If what's the most difficult thing have you seen so far? Because I mean, me and John have been doing this for 25 plus years or whatever. It's different coming in now. All the technology that we have and everything that everybody's got to get used to doing. Times have changed, you know. So
Yes.
it's an experience that I mean, it's probably changed a lot since you started.
It has,
you
yes,
know.
sir.
So, what do you think was the most difficult thing coming in?
The most difficult thing that I've dealt with so far was recovering a body.
Yeah, that's
That,
hard.
I guess in this field of work, that's just something that you'll have to get used to. Mm-hmm. But that kind of hit hard for me the first time I did that. I really had to talk to God about that. Mm-hmm. That was something I had to get on my knees for.
Yeah. You think faith is a big part of your life as an officer?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about you? What do you think the hardest thing was for you coming in?
The hardest thing for me, it may have been a body, but I don't really remember.
You know, that's always just this hard question to answer. You know what I mean? It's like
it really is.
when you asked that question, I started cringing. Like, oh gosh, like I mean, like that's just a terrible thing to ask a
Yeah.
first responder anyway. But you know, I think kind of like Paula. Like if you asked me, I think you and Jason kind of went down that road with me last week, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, there's just been so many things. It's
Yeah.
like. I can't really just like there's so many crazy things that's happened or seen or experienced.
Yeah.
It's like, man, to just pick one out, you know, over a period of time.
Well, I
it's
wasn't really
hard.
talking. I'm talking like for me, one of the most difficult things for me was just being more vocal. You know what I mean? Having to, you know, talk more to people because I was pretty introverted, and you had to take your command presence of the scene a lot of times, especially when people are at their heightened state of emotions and trying to de-escalate people. That was kind of hard for me.
Now that for me, it's not really hard. It's settings like this.
Right. Yeah.
That's difficult for me. But what you just described, that's just something I think it's in my heart. And so it just flows. It just flows out. So that doesn't really bother me.
Just kind of naturally happens when you're out there doing the job.
Yes, sir.
I know
Yes,
whenever starting out in this profession, even going through the police academy, and a lot of people don't believe me this because now I would walk up to complete strangers and have an hour-long conversation with them, never met them. But, man, I was an extremely shy person, like extremely introverted, would just like just didn't want to talk to people or anything. And then now look at me, it's like
That is kind of hard.
anytime, anywhere. You know what I mean? So where do you see? What do you see as far as in your future, Faison, starting out? Where do you see yourself? Is that so far down the road you really can't envision that? You're just like in the trenches right now, trying to get your feet under you as a public safety officer.
Yeah, obviously, I've only been here for almost 2 years, so there's still a substantial amount of information that I need to learn still. But I do have goals for myself, but I do have plans. But I don't know if my plan doesn't align with God's plan, then I don't want it. So.
So you just go out and do the job, and then when you know, you know. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I operate too. When you know, you know. What about you, Miss Paula? What's your plans? You gonna, me and Chief talked about this last week. Being a detective division, is that where you see that you're going to spend the majority of your career? Are you going to decide to go into supervision, leadership roles, or what's kind of?
I am enjoying detective division right now. Yes, sir. I'm enjoying that and all it has to offer.
I think
it
Faison
has a lot to offer.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
A lot of work.
But I think Faison's 100% right when you just, when you know, and.
So do you have your mom obviously raised you, and did she teach you a valuable lesson that still sticks with you? I'm sure she taught you lots of lessons.
She taught me a lot of lessons, but ultimately, just I guess just being humble and treating people the way you'd want to be treated.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty huge. That's a good lesson to learn.
Man, I tell you what, you can't go wrong in this job if you think about that. In every facet, whether it's, you have to arrest somebody or,
right.
Somebody that's been a victim of a crime or something. You just put yourself in their shoes and think about what they're going through, and that's how you communicate with them. Yes. You go far in this profession for sure.
So the way Faison does his job, is there some aspect about that makes you really proud as a mom?
Faison has always been this person, been the same. Growing up as a little boy, taking him to church, and he's always given it his all. And I'm just so proud of him. I'm not surprised, but I am so proud of him.
Well, he's certainly done a good job here for sure. And we appreciate him when he's chasing after people that are stealing from cars.
Absolutely.
Some of us aren't that fast,
So what's it like?
That's including you. You're not that fast, sir.
I'm undefeated when it comes to me and you in a foot race. So, but there ain't gonna be no rematch. But so talking about running after somebody, what's it like? You're out in gym shorts and a t-shirt running on the track, or just out exercising. What's the difference when you put all this uniform on? Does it slow you down a little bit?
It does slow me down just a tad bit, just because there's so much weight. But hey, I still get after it.
Yeah, I think what makes me faster. So
I was never fast, so I don't have to worry about that. I tell you what, I chased a guy one time. I'll never forget this. And he was very quick. He went to school here, and he had a lot of track records and stuff like that. And he took off running, and I was chasing after him, and he turned around and started running backwards. And I was so mad. I was like, "Dear Lord, please let this man fall. Please let him fall." He didn't fall. And then he ran and jumped over a 5-foot chicken wire fence and never touched it. And I was like, "You win. I'm done." Yeah. I went back to my car.
We'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, he was quick.
Yeah, I chased this guy one time, and it was funny because I've always had a really good relationship with everybody in town. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you could even be what would be considered a criminal, and I probably had a pretty good relationship with you. Now, I'd appreciate it if you didn't go out and commit crimes, but you know, I still get along with you pretty good. But
Right.
I remember I was chasing a guy through a couple of yards one time, and there was a family barbecue. And we literally ran through the backyard of this family barbecue, and everyone at the barbecue was telling the guy that I was chasing after, he better stop because Brooms is going to catch you. And I caught the guy, and it was funny because I walked him back to our patrol car that was parked out on the street, and I walked him back through the yard, and man, they were giving him a hard time. They said, "We told you he was going to catch you."
Well, you run those marathons, though, or did.
Yeah, but see, there's a method to foot chases. Okay, you can't go 100% right out of the gate.
I would tell you the method. The method is stay in the car as long as you can.
For sure. Yeah, you want to stay in the car as long as you can, and then once you can't take the car any further, then you jump out and chase them. But when you jump out of the car and you start chasing them, you don't run 100% right out of the gate. You just want to keep
Pace
a good,
yourself. Yeah.
And then try to close that distance eventually. But sometimes, man, we've had some track stars here. In this,
Oh yeah,
in this,
I had a guy work for me one time. He says, "Sarge, how are you always catching these people?" I said, "Because you jump out of the car right away. I let you get them tired, and then I chase them down the block in the car, and then I'll get them. You know."
Yeah, we've actually
You gotta be smart.
We've
you know?
had situations before where we would know that where somebody was at that would run. You know, they'd be wanted for some serious felony warrants or something like that. And we knew as soon as we were going to go approach them that they were going to take off running. So we would position patrol cars around the area, and we would send in an officer to basically approach them because we knew they were going to run. And we would literally like hand off cars. Like this guy would start the chase, and then that guy jump out of the car, and the guy that started the chase would jump in the car, and and then sometimes we still didn't catch them. Like we had a guy outrun a helicopter one night. I don't know if you remember that or not. I mean, how you outrun a helicopter is beyond me. So
Yeah, he did it. So again, Mother's Day. Is it May 11th? I think it's when it is. You know, so we're recording this a little bit ahead of time. But what kind of family traditions do y'all do on Mother's Day?
Mother's Day, all of my children try to come home, or we spend some time together wherever. We don't have any plans just yet, but my kids, they spoil me.
Right.
So every day is Mother's Day.
You know, so you're married to Carl.
I am.
Yeah, Carl's a great guy.
Absolutely.
What did he think about you wanting to get in law enforcement? Did he have an opinion about that?
He was happy for me. He's always been supportive of me. Yeah, he's always been supportive. He worked hard to help pay my way through the academy, and he was just supportive. I can remember him, bless his heart, trying to help me study for some of the for some of the tests, and boy, it was something, I'll tell you. But yeah, he's always been supportive, and he's still supportive. I'm telling you, he tells everybody he meets. He shows them a picture, and I'm like, oh my goodness. He's a proud father and husband. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, where are you getting Mom for Mother's Day? Do you get her police gear, or I mean, what you buy her a holster? Or
No. She goes out and get the police gear, and then I get the hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
So that's how we do that. But
I did see you wearing a coat this last winter. I'm like, man, that is a vintage police jacket. There ain't no way you just bought that thing.
But that's what I like. That's my style. The vintage.
Do you remember me giving you a hard
That's what I
time
go
about
for.
that jacket?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's something I wore 25 years ago. Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
Did it have the fur collar on it? Or?
No, but
That old.
It wasn't that old, but it was close.
Yes.
Man, that's like that thing is salty, and I know you ain't been doing this for about.
I
6
had one of
months.
those at one time. I'm ashamed to say. Yeah. It was very early on. I thought it looked good. I was like,
I got to admit, though, I met Paula's mother at Faison's graduation, and I can definitely see that your mother passed down just some really good genetics for you, and then
Thank
your
you.
daughters.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to Faison and his brothers, though, but man. So your mom she still lives in Malden?
She does, yes, she does. Still lives in Malden, still in good health, and
You can't talk her into moving to Sikeston.
no,
She won't do it, huh?
not at all.
And you have 2 daughters?
I do, yes, sir.
And
Yep, my oldest and youngest are girls.
And it's funny because if you can definitely see the traits and
Yeah,
and all I think they were all there that night, weren't
yes,
they?
sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know what happened to you though, Faison.
Hey, I'm working on it.
Yeah. So, what, you got a girlfriend? You married? What's
No,
the
sir.
deal?
No, sir.
I'm just gonna get personal here. Like, what's going on in your life?
I was wondering if
what's
you were
really
asking
going
out on a date or something. That's kind of weird.
No, I'm married. So single.
It's difficult. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Chief's gonna have so many girls sliding in your DMs now. He said single
So if
on
y'all
there.
catch that, Faison single.
His phone's probably
He's-
going off in his pocket right now.
Oh man. So how long you been married?
I've been married for over 22 years. Well,
22
as
years.
a matter of fact, it's been 24 years.
24 years.
Yep,
Well, I'm glad you guys come on. I really am. I thought this was kind of neat, and I'm asking a lot of legitimate questions because this whole dynamic here, y'all both working here,
Yes.
and a lot of people maybe not know that we do that. I mean, we've had married couples that work here sometimes, as long as they're not working in the same division or something
Right.
like that. And one's not supervising the other.
Right.
Neither one of y'all guys are supervising. You are in different divisions, so it's kind of neat to ask these questions. And of course we got Mother's Day coming up, and so we get to talk about that too. And I know we're proud you guys are working here with us. Y'all do a great job.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. This has been enjoyable.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I'm just. It was a joy talking to you, which it is all the time anyway. And
Yes, sir.
so, like Chief said, us as a department, we're not only lucky to have you guys here, but just the whole community. So, very fortunate.
Yeah, and I will say we get compliments, on you guys all the time, and I really appreciate that, And to all you mothers out there, we just want to say Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you so
and
much.
don't forget
sir.
to get your mom something for Mother's Day.
I'll
All right?
get something.
Maybe some pink handcuffs or something. Maybe
No.
some flowers. Maybe blue flowers.
Why blue?
I don't know.
Well, I guess that's all we got for this week's episode of Chief, Cap, and Chap. And remember, if
Minus the Chap.
minus the Chap, that's right. And if you want to send us an email, send it at chief.cap.chap. I'll get that right.
Yeah,
You're just
and
saying-
if Mr. McCauley's out there and would like to make an appearance to verify the fact that I did beat Faison in the 100, we'll have you on. So
that's bad, man. He's putting you on blast.
every time I see Faison
Yeah.
and we're in a group of people, I say, "Hey, Faison, tell him about that time I beat you in that foot race."
I've been asking him to meet me out at the
heard you.
track.
Well, y'all grown up now. He ain't going to do that.
Yeah, he'd pull a muscle.
He ain't going to do that. But well, I guess that's all we got for this time. And remember,
Always take the high road.
take the high road.
Take the high road.
See y'all.